Brenda and I are on cloud nine at the end of every class that we teach, because we just know we have set these women up for success and set them up for empowerment and the ability to go talk the talk, no matter who they're talking to, so that they're not ever taken advantage of.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's hosts are Rose and Glynn Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Hello and welcome back to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. Rose and Glynn here, your hosts this week. And today we're joined by Brenda Puckett and Dana Hext, two incredible women making a huge impact in the RV tech industry. Both certified RV inspectors and technicians, Brenda and Dana are passionate about empowering women with the skills and knowledge to safely operate and maintain their RVs. In this episode, they share their journeys into RVing, how they became RV techs and inspectors, and how you can too, and why education and training are so important, especially for women. They'll also talk about their collaborative project 52U, which offers hands-on workshops around the country designed to help women gain confidence in RV maintenance and safety. And lastly, we'll discuss the entrepreneurial opportunities in RV tech and inspections, the financial potential of this field, and the marketing strategies that have worked for them. So if you're curious about RV tech, considering a business in this field, or looking to gain confidence in maintaining your own RV, then this episode is for you.
RVing is more than just a hobby. It's a community. When you join RV Life, you're not just gaining access to a suite of tools. You're becoming part of a vibrant community of fellow RV enthusiasts. Share your experiences, learn from others, and make your RV journey even more memorable. Visit rvlife.com to become a part of our community and start making connections that last a lifetime.
Hi, Brenda and Dana. We are so excited to have you guys on. Thank you so much for coming on today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
You are welcome. After a little bit of technical difficulties, we are here. We did it, the three of us, four of us. Actually, my husband is here too, Glynn. He's joining us today. So it's a party in here. This is a first for us to have four people on a podcast. So this is going to be fun.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So you've each built incredible businesses empowering RVers, especially women RVers, through education, hands-on training, and your wildly popular workshops now that you hold through 52U. You hold it all across the country, and we'll get more into that a bit. But first, let's kick things off by hearing a little bit about how each of you first got into RV life, what inspired you, and how that kind of looks like now. So, Dana, do you want to kick things off?
Sure. Okay. I am a lifelong RVer. My family traveled when we were children in an RV. My father's actual vehicle to travel to and from work was our camper. So we had one regular vehicle, and my dad drove the Class C. And so I've camped with my family since I was young, and we pretty much did that until we entered the junior high school stages. I have two brothers that are older. And then we started taking traditional vacations. It was just cheaper to drive and camp when we were younger than it was to fly. So my husband and I married in 97, and we did not start camping with our children until I'd say 2015-ish. He had never camped as a kid, and I did. So I kind of inspired him to take a leap, and we rented our first RV, and the entire family fell in love. So we started traveling via camper. We rented a couple of times before we purchased. And then for our 15th wedding anniversary, was it our 15th or 20th? No, I can't remember. Maybe it was our 20th wedding anniversary. We purchased an RV for the family. And so we started traveling with our kids, made national parks our number one stop. And our goal has been to see all the national parks. So we've hit 26 so far since 2017. And our children are now grown, but my husband and I still love to travel. We've bought and sold a couple of RVs now, and we currently own two. One is a business related camper, and then the other one is our family camper. So both serve different purposes, different sizes. And we just love traveling the world. Or traveling the United States. I'd actually love to travel beyond the borders to a couple of places. We have a friend that's just come back from, where did he go, Brenda? Iceland. Was it Iceland?
Yes.
He was in Iceland, yeah. So that
Bucket
kind of inspired me to look beyond the U.S. borders. And of course, my husband just rolls his eyes, but he is game for pretty much anything I want to do. So
That's awesome. So RVing has been in your life for quite a while now.
it has. We took a nice little break between probably maybe junior high, well through college and early marriage. But then we just kind of realized what my parents did, that it was cheaper for us to travel as a family in a camper than it was to buy 5 plane tickets and hotels and things like that. So, yeah.
For sure. A lot cheaper.
Dana, was your first RV a Class C?
No, well, rented, yes.
Okay.
As a child, yes, they had a Class C.
That's what I mean. Based on, what you grew up with, was that what you defaulted to first?
Yes and no. We rented the Class C first because it was ease of use. We had never towed a camper before, and that was what we could find that was rentable at the time. After traveling in that Class C the first time with our family, we said we would never own another one. For many reasons, but more because it was just a beast. It was really large. And of course, renting, we couldn't do a towed. So we had to drive it everywhere. And that was the big hook up at night, unhook in the morning, and then have to do all of that every night. And so that decision was made early on that our first camper for our family would not be a Class C.
Wise.
Yeah, we had it.
We experienced that with our camper van. We forgot to buy something, so we have to break it down, drive somewhere, set it back up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. But when we traveled full time, we had a travel trailer and truck for that versatility.
Yeah.
And everything.
Now, the kids love it because they can just buckle in or not. And, at the time, I'm sad to say we let them sleep on the couch sometimes or in the bed while we were traveling. But the convenience of not having to pull over and hop up and go fix a sandwich, was nice. And the kids enjoyed it because they just had more freedom. But for safety purposes and ease of travel purposes, our first one was actually a fifth wheel that we purchased. Mm-hmm. So the kids weren't quite as enamored with that, living in the back seat of the truck for hours on end, but ultimately it served our purposes better.
So Brenda, how about you? How did you get started?
Same thing. We camped as kids with the family. I'm the oldest of 3, and we went from the tent to the pop-up to I think we did a Class A first and then settled on a Class C. And that's mostly what we traveled in as kids. Stopped once, probably high school, college age, and then big gap. Mr. Puckett and I ended up couples camping for just a short bit. He had gotten a bumper pole for he and the boys to use at our property, the hunting and fishing property, because they would freeze their, what's off in the winter. So they wanted something to kind of rest in and warm up and whatnot. Well, as soon as we bought our travel trailer, he thought, this is too nice. I'm not going to let the boys tear this up. And he said, would you want to start camping? And I was so pumped because I remembered it as a kid and had such fond memories. I loved every single aspect of it. I was a realtor at the time, and I was exhausted and just needed a break. And so it was so fun for me to pack it up, to unpack it, to pick the destinations, all of those cool things. And I did not know it, but the feelings were not mutual. So at one fateful trip, we were in Natural Falls State Park in Oklahoma, and we stumbled across an all-female camping group. We were having trouble with our tow vehicle, and we got stuck there. We didn't realize it, but this female camping group had reserved the whole park. There wasn't a spot left in that park. But while we were having tow vehicle trouble, they had pity on us and let us have one of their sites. A girl had no-showed. Let us have one of their sites. And while we were there all weekend, my husband got this bright idea. And I could tell on the last day, he talked to a couple of the girls and he said, how did you get into this group? And so they told their reasons. And one of the girls said, well, I'm married and my husband doesn't like to camp. And my husband punched me on the arm and he goes, honey, like us. And I had no idea that's how I felt. So on the drive home, I said, "You don't want to camp anymore, do you?" "Nope." I said, "You want me to join that group, don't you?" "Yep." And so the rest was history. We did get me a Class C. And so that is what I have always had. I've had two of them, and I've sold one, the last one, a couple of years ago. I'm in between campers right now. I jumped behind that wheel and just took off, not knowing what I didn't know, and had so many bumps and bruises along the way, but got the bug, really loved it so much. I have an Airstream shell right now that I thought I was going to tackle and restore. And after a couple of years of sitting and staring at it, in fact, it's gathering snow right now out in the field. We've decided that project is a little too big for me. So that one's going to be sold. And then I've got my sights set on something else.
Oh, can't wait to hear.
Brenda, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
I couldn't help smiling the whole time.
Oh, it's pitiful.
Yeah. All right. Now, so you both are certified RV technicians and inspectors as well. Let's get into a little bit about what prompted you guys, like what was the inspiration to get into that? Brenda?
During that time when I was female, camping with the girls clubs, there's several of them out there, and there were a couple that I was a member of. While I was camping with those clubs, I just started getting the bug, and I was listening to, ironically, this very podcast.
No way.
Yes, and I started figuring out, okay, people are doing this and they're making a career out of it. I wonder if there's a career that I could do. So I just started combing the internet and social media. I would go to the RV shows and ask people, what's the best job in the industry? And like I said, I was in real estate and getting very burned out, and thought it was time. I'm kind of one of those people. I'll stay 10, 15, 20 years, and then it's time to try something new. And I was at that stage and came across a couple that was doing an AMA on Reddit about the National RV Training Academy, which is where Dana and I both got our training. And they said, "We're certified RV inspectors. Ask us anything." And I was like, wait a minute. I got online. I was like, tell me all about it. They told us about the school, told me about the school. And the classes were starting 5 days later. And I zoomed down to Texas, not knowing what the heck I was getting into. My husband was like, "You're not going to be able to learn about RVs in that short amount of time." And I was like, duh. I knew that I could learn on the fly. I mean, I knew enough just from camping, but I figured it was pretty close to what a home inspector does. And I was right. And so I went down, and I'll let Dana explain this further. I am a certified RV inspector, and I'm a registered service technician, and Dana's a step up from that. So I got those two bits of training, and then hit the ground running with the business. And then we'll tell you how it evolved into the education aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Dana, how about you?
So I actually had started camping. My husband has a full-time job, and I had retired from the teaching, public teaching, and decided I wanted to start adventuring with some of these women organizations as well. So I was attending a couple of women solo female camping groups, and one trip in particular, I was sick and pretty much didn't leave the camper the whole time, ended up ordering takeout and picked it up for eating purposes, so I wasn't cooking. Came home, and miraculously I was better as soon as I got home. Same thing happened again at my next female camping trip, and I was sick the whole time I was there. Kind of like lightheaded, stomach flu type experiences, and I just didn't really put two and two together. Well, at some point, this was about a 3-month period, and I told my husband, I think the camper's making me sick. And of course he said, "Well, what do you mean?" And not knowing what I didn't know, the camper was making me sick. And we discovered about 4 months later, from the time that it started to the time that we made the discovery, we were camping in January at a Airstream resort up just south of Dallas, and it snowed on us unexpectedly. So we turned the propane on to have some heat during the night, and the propane, we went through an entire tank of propane that night.
Wow.
So come to find out, as soon as we woke up in the morning, I knew exactly what was wrong. Our propane, we had a leak in our camper, a propane leak. And so people say, well, it smells funny. You should be able to smell it. Our camper had actually been to the dealership twice, was never diagnosed with an issue. I didn't know what to tell them other than my camper smells. It's making me sick. They looked at P-traps. They just knew all the things to look at based on the keywords I was giving them. So, and because I didn't know how to describe my experience, I wasn't using the proper terminology to ring some bells on their end. So that was the day, literally, I woke up and thought, I don't ever want to be vulnerable like this again, because I look back over those 4 months and the 3 to 4 camping experiences I had, and what if? What if I had decided to light the burner? What if I had decided to cook? What if, I didn't open the windows in the camper and ended up, who knows? So that vulnerability was what got me looking into, how do I prevent this from happening? How do I educate women? How do I educate people just to know what to tell a technician when you have an experience like I did? So there were a couple of things that had happened that were self-inflicted. I had women tend to camp with decorations and things like that. And I had a curtain. This was an Airstream Nest, which is a 16-foot camper that just goes front to back. There's not a lot of room, but I had a little curtain that separated the bathroom from the bedroom area because my daughter had been camping with me and we just did a little bit of privacy. That curtain was hanging down. It was like a little gauzy shower curtain, and it was actually covering the LP detector. It was pushed against the side. So you don't know what you don't know. And, I just never really thought much about it. The second thing that was my own fault for not being able to describe accurately to my technicians, I had a peppermint candle underneath the sink in the living area. And the propane leak was actually under the sink next to the cooktop. It was the regulator for the cooktop. So that propane was leaking out underneath the sink and mixing with this extremely potent peppermint candle. Oh, so the smell that I was smelling, it didn't smell like typical propane, which was why I never said I smell gas, because I certainly know what raw eggs smell like, and I certainly know, what propane smells like. But it never clicked. And so my explanation when I would go to the dealership was, this sounds terrible, but it smelled like sweet vomit. That was the best explanation that I could give. Well, hindsight's 2020, and you've got a sweet peppermint candle mixing with ethyl mercaptan in the propane, and here you have this disgusting, unusual scent. So that's really what got me started. I felt vulnerable. I felt stupid. I felt like I wasn't able to explain to my technicians what I was experiencing. They weren't hearing the key words of gas, propane, a leak. They just weren't hearing what they needed to hear to really raise red flags, because everyone knows there's key words that all of a sudden a technician's going to run a leak drop test or, check connections, check regulators. And those things just didn't happen. And part of it is my fault. And the LP detector didn't go off. That was my fault. So I thought there's got to be some education out there. There's got to be a way to prevent tragedies, to prevent women from feeling vulnerable, reaching out to people, asking for help, and just knowing what to expect or what to say when they need help. So that's what got me started. And at the time, I was in an organization with Brenda and knew that she had gone through the training, and so I reached out to her, and that's really what got me started. And then we connected. We realized that we both had a passion, and we just work well together and enjoy each other's company, and it's kind of evolved from there.
This episode is made possible by Travelfy. Want reliable internet without the hassle? Meet Travelfy. It's portable, high-speed Wi-Fi that's ready to go wherever you are. From road trips to remote cabins. No tricky setup or permanent location required. Just plug in and you're connected. And here's the best part. No contracts, no commitments, and no reactivation fees. Pay only for the months you need. Travelfy connects to the strongest available signal among multiple major networks, so you stay online with confidence, backed by a US-based support team that knows the outdoor lifestyle. Travelfy, simplifying internet while you travel. Visit travelfy.com today. That's TRAVLFI.com. Listeners can save 15% with code RVE at checkout.
Yeah. You guys have, that's a great story. Dana, I can't believe, I'm so lucky nothing happened to you. but that you were able to really dive into that and want to help others,
Right.
to prevent this. I think that's wonderful. Can we get into more of that schooling, like the training and the NRVTA, becoming a service tech or an inspector? Any of those things is a great way to support yourself on the road. And then you guys took it further and did your own business. But let's talk about that training real quick.
Okay, Brenda, why don't you talk about the inspector side, and I can do a little bit more in depth on the technician side of it.
Perfect. The training at National RV Training Academy, there's 2 tracks that someone could select to go. Actually, there's a lot of people, RV owners, that will come through there and they will take just the foundational class, which we call fundamentals, and it's 1 week long. And some people will come through and take just that so that they can learn how to maintain and troubleshoot and fix a bunch of their own repairs on their RV. So fundamentals is what everybody takes when they first come to school. Then if you decide if you want to go to the certification route, and they are a college career school, you can either go the inspector route or technician. So I did the inspector route because it lined up so perfectly with, like I said, home inspections. 95%, if not more, of the calls that we're getting are people that are doing a pre-purchase inspection, and they will hire somebody like me, a third-party inspector outside of the dealership, or not if it's being sold by an individual, just a neutral third party to come in and take a look at the RV and help them make a more educated, informed decision. So if you're doing the inspector route, you take fundamentals, and then you take 2 more weeks of inspection course, and that includes learning how to create this beautiful interactive digital report. It's the software is incredible. So we spend a lot of time on that. And then you do 2 full-blown actual inspections on your own while you're in class. Those get evaluated, and then you earn your certification, and then you can get out there and do your thing. Some of the inspectors will do what I did as well. I took an additional exam that allowed me to become a registered service technician. And what those people usually do is service maintenance types of, they're not really doing repairs. Dana and I do a ton of diagnosing while we're out there because everybody's always got something. I don't take it the next step unless it's within my scope. I can do service maintenance things like winterization or servicing an air conditioner, or sanitizing the water system, cleaning the water heater, different things like that. I also do the inspectors, have another service that a lot of them offer, and it's like a custom owner walkthrough. So post-purchase, they'll get out there and they will do a one-on-one appointment with RV owners to help them understand how to operate their RV safely and properly, and then keep up on maintenance. It's really a big hit. People love that service as well. So that's how you get into that. And we have people. I'm in a Sticks and Bricks location, so I have a service area around my home where I am willing to go and to work, and that might include a private sale or a dealership. And then we have inspectors that are on the road doing this mobile, and they chase the temperatures or grandkids, whatever it is. We're getting younger, more and more younger people coming through the school. They now are accepting military benefits, so we're seeing a younger demographic come through there as well.
Very good. Dana, how about you?
So I also am a certified RV inspector, but I also completed the certified RV technician route, which is just one little step above the registered. And just what that means is, once I completed the foundational course, the fundamentals program, I actually went and did my inspector course first and completed that. And then over the course of the next year, I took one of the advanced technician courses at a time. I was a little unusual. Most people will stay at the National RV Training Academy for the extended 8 to 9 week program to complete everything. And of course, that's what they recommend, just because you're in class and you start and finish and you get your certification. I was a little different. I had a family at home at the time. I'm close enough to the National RV Training Academy that I could make the round trip in about 3 hours from my home, be gone during the week, and then home for the weekend. And so because I had at the time family living at home. I felt like I couldn't be gone the 8 to 9 weeks that it required. So I completed one technician course at a time over the course of about 9 months to a year. So the technician course is actually 4 additional courses that are 1 week long each, and they focus on refrigerators or air conditioners, water heaters and furnaces, exteriors, things like that. And so each course, you have this in-depth week-long class that just teaches you everything that you can possibly want to know about that particular course. And then you graduate individually from each of these advanced tech courses. And then once you finish all the advanced tech courses, you take a final exam that basically covers everything you've learned from the foundational course and fundamentals through the advanced tech courses along the way. And then you have both hands-on experience in the classroom as well as written experience. So there's a lot of, it's not so much book work like you would think a traditional college. It's more lecture in class, and then we're going to lecture and explain, and then we're going to go out and put your hands in the components so that you are actually hands-on most of the time, which I love that about a class. Being a former teacher, there's lots of learning styles out there. And so this appealed to me because I can hear somebody talk about it, but unless you actually show it to me and let me get my hands in there and see what I'm supposed to be knowing or learning, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. So NRVTA does a great job about putting a hands-on component with the classroom learning. They also offer 2 additional classes outside of the advanced tech courses. One of them is a solar class, and Brenda and I actually completed that a couple of years ago. So you can be solar certified as well. And then they also offer a generator class. There's not enough technicians out there who actually know how to work on generators, and most, you tend to have to find a bricks and sticks place to take a generator to, and then they're going to keep it for a month or 2 while it sits in line. So as a technician, you can also take the generator course to learn the ins and outs of that and add that to your repertoire of what you offer your clients. So
that's great. That's great. Wow. I mean, this is a very long, weeks, months kind of thing. Do people stay? Is there something on site where you can stay? You live kind of closer, Dana.
There is. I do live close. So I had the luxury of when I was taking my classes to go and then come home on the weekend. They actually, the school has a great opportunity for you to either bring your RV. They have RV sites where you can bring your own, which is what most people do. And then they also have little cabins that you can rent. They have, the tiny homes, which are a little step up above the cabin. So there's tiny homes, cabins, RV spaces. You can actually have a rented RV delivered to the campsite or to the campground and do a rental if you want to actually be living in the camper while you're taking the courses. As far as the inspector side of it goes, we really encourage anybody coming as in the inspector course to actually have a camper with them. It just makes a lot of sense to have your own camper to be able to do an inspection on your own camper or a rented camper, and just have that available to you versus not having anything or having to partner up with somebody that if you were renting a cabin or a tiny home and didn't have your own camper, you would have to partner up with somebody to complete inspections. So although they have all the choices for you to come and stay, and they rent them by the week, right, Brenda? Isn't it a weekly rental? Mm-hmm. So you could do what I did and just do one course at a time. You could stay the whole 9 weeks and do all of it. You could do just inspector for the 3 weeks. There's lots of options, and they certainly work with everybody that is interested as to what is best for them.
Yeah. Another note, I'm glad you brought that up, Dana. There are people that come there that do not own an RV, have never RV'd before, and they start from scratch. I would suggest what Dana's talking about. If you could even do what Dana and Ben did whenever they first started getting into RVing, they rented them. They tried different RVs out. And so if you get any kind of exposure before you come to school, that would be awesome. In the female camping groups that Dana and I have belonged to, there's plenty of times that I am hotel camping at the campsite, like they have a resort or something there, or stay in a cabin. So you can get out there and get exposure to the lifestyle and whatnot long before you ever get an RV. But there are people that come through there that
Wow.
that don't have an RV.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for anyone.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So do you have to be kind of tech savvy or inspector savvy before you go into this? Like, how intense is this? I mean,
You start, Brenda.
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, my background is I owned a cheer and dance gym business for 20 years, and then I was a realtor. So if I can do this, you can do this. Now, did I bring business to the table? Yes, I had business experience because I had owned my own businesses. So that was very helpful. There are plenty of men and women out there that can swing a hammer and turn a wrench that are great, that may not know that side of it. And then people like me as well. We have everything from physicians, retired military, first responders. We have stay-at-home moms. We have salespeople, we have truck drivers, we have contractors, everything come through there. It's amazing the people that we get to meet all the time through there. So no, I have learned every bit of it. And Dana and I just were those types of people that we love to learn and we want to know it and know it well. So we just dug in and we just kept going. And I've been joking, I've been at RV college for about 5 years now.
it's great. Never stop learning.
I will add to that. Is it easier, make a little bit more sense if you have a knowledge or a background in electricity? Yes. Or understanding of what different tools are, socket wrenches versus screwdrivers? Yes.
Mhm.
There is a base knowledge with anything that if you have that base knowledge, then the learning becomes a little easier. But that's not to say that if you don't have any of that. I was a school teacher. My my area of expertise are little kids. So, and I brought that, and of course that obviously helps in Brenda and my business venture, but I had to learn electricity from the ground, from ground zero. And in some ways it was challenging, but it was also extremely rewarding just to know that, and everybody there is very willing to help you understand and ask it. And actually, Brenda and I've talked about this before, but we feel like when people come with no knowledge, they're the ones that have no problem asking questions because they don't have an expectation, a preset expectation for themselves. So they have lots of questions. And I truly feel like in the classrooms, that's beneficial for the other students because they may have come with an expectation, whether it's their own expectation or an expectation of their peers. If they're coming from the industry already, some form of the industry, that they are expected to know some of these things. And so they don't ask the questions. So when there's people like me or Brenda, and we ask the questions, I feel like a sigh of relief comes over the classroom because there's just that, there's just that fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone sometimes. So
extremely common. The atmosphere in the classroom, is it male dominant? Is it a good mix of people? Tell me more or fill me in.
I was just thinking about that. I wanted to share in my fundamentals class, which was probably less than 50, there were 3 women. In my inspector class, I think there was only 2. Dana and I there were 3 women in our solar class. What about your tech classes, Dana?
My tech classes, only one of my tech classes had another female. I was the only female in 3 of my 4 tech classes. There were 3 of us in inspector. Yeah. So it was fun. I like to be girly and there's an expectation when you walk in the room. Sometimes there's some that you have to prove yourself to, but most of the classroom is excited to have something different in the class. And, I have no problem saying hello and asking the questions. And I think once I started asking questions and, really kind of prove myself to some of the classmates, they were extremely, I made some great friends and, throughout the classes, and we still keep in touch today. And they're some of our biggest cheerleaders, actually, as far as what we've done with our business. So
yeah, that's
it's definitely, Dana and I talk about this frequently, which was inspiration for our joint venture. There's definitely a different learning style, and it is never more apparent when you have adult learners and it's predominantly male in the class. everybody has been so supportive and helpful. The staff there is great. The current staff has a lot of females at National RV Training Academy, which is great to see. However, it is definitely different. The vibe in the room is different. As you can see, the smile on my
Lots
face,
of
I'll just
questions.
leave it
Why
there.
are you doing this? Does your husband
Yeah.
not want to do
Exactly.
it?
I can only imagine. We definitely need more women RV techs and inspectors. So I'm glad you guys are promoting this. And
I agree.
yeah. So let's get into your businesses a little bit here. And going from the RV tech school, you could have just gone and worked for someone else as a tech or an inspector, right? But you made that leap into entrepreneurship. Let's talk about that leap of faith. And how did you know that was right for you? How did you make that transition? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Brenda.
I know why Brenda was. You were already an
I
entrepreneur.
wanted out.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted out. So I was not afraid about starting a business, and I did apply a bunch of those skills. I knew how to set up. This is very similar to real estate, and I say this quite a bit when I'm at the training academy. You're not reinventing the wheel. The business is already a proven business model. You're deciding how to apply it to your life, and if it's a good decision for you at this time in your life. So that part wasn't scary to me. That first year, and I forgot to say this earlier, I did not realize inspections is kind of a lonely business, and I am very social and like people. I did not really think about that part until I got out there. And there's many times that even if you're at a dealership, you're just by yourself with your head down. And those inspections are an all-day affair, 8 to 10 hours on a premier level inspection. So that was kind of a bummer to me. That first year, I was still working real estate and doing inspections at the same time, but I had the bug, and I was trying to figure out how to get completely out of real estate faster than my projected timeline. But I did inspections pretty hot and heavy that first year. And then Dana and I started getting excited about the opportunity to teach some of these women's workshop, which we'll go into. But that's really how I decided to do it. What about you, Dana?
Actually, when I first took the courses, even all the way through the advanced tech courses, I did not have really the desire to start my own business other than the inspection side of it. I was already working on that. As far as tech work, I really just took those classes because I wanted to understand what I was inspecting. I think it made me a better inspector, even though in the inspection world we don't diagnose issues. We just are looking for whether or not things are working properly as designed or not. We don't actually get into the nitty-gritty. But for me and my learning style, I needed to understand how things worked in order to make me a better inspector. So I took the courses originally for myself, and I really had no desire to turn that into a business. But it kind of self-evolves, and through the inspection program, I do more inspection work than I do tech work, but that's by design. I don't want to have a big truck full of parts and supplies. And in the tech world, you really do need to carry a basic level of supplies and different parts and pieces. And that's not where I wanted to go in the industry. So I think that my business evolved really through inspections. And then once Brenda and I hooked up and started talking about the educational side and what we were experiencing and seeing in the women's industry, particularly because that's where we were traveling, we realized the need was there. The education need was there, and it just fit both of our backgrounds. So what's wonderful about this program, whether it's through NRVTA or RVTI is another organization that teaches, and I'm actually a level 1 certified RVTI technician as well. Wherever you go to get your certifications, there is a niche in the market that you can actually hone in on. There are people that do. I also specialize in weighing, 4-point weighing for your camper. So I carry with me, upon request, 4 30,000-pound weight scales that are commercial scales. So I can actually take them to a campground and do 4-point weighing and give you tongue weight and camper weight and GVWR and all the things. So there are people that specialize just in that. There are people that specialize in education. There are people that specialize in inspections. There are people that just do tech work and they only do refrigerators and air conditioners. They may not want to do anything exterior related. And then there's those that love the exterior side. So there's certainly a plethora of things that you can hone in and focus what you want to do in the industry and see where it can take you. Because I never dreamed that we would be where we are with what we thought was fun.
Yeah, I want to briefly touch on everyone wants to know, well, how much do RV techs or RV inspectors make? I know there's probably different ranges of that. But can you give us a better idea, either of you, kind of what that is?
Go ahead, Brenda.
I'd be happy to. I am lucky enough also. I got invited early on in this. I'm hitting my 5-year mark. I got certified in February 2020, so it'll be 5 years next month. Early on in my career, NRVTA asked me if I'd come back and take over the presenter position for their small business program. So they have an optional business class that they'll do in the mornings during Fundamentals Week. And we talk about the numbers quite a bit. We have people that are simply doing this to offset their travel fees. They can do one inspection a month and at about $1,000 for that inspection. I'm making that up. Like for a travel trailer, I would charge on a premier level around $1,000. And going up to your class A, B, and C, those motorized on a premier level inspection can be anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. They're really intense, very detailed, thorough inspections. Some of these inspectors are $12,000 a year, just trying to make $1,000 a month to cover their travel expenses. Some of them are middle of the road and may, getting up closer to anywhere from 60,000 to 100. And we have many that are making six figures many times over. The technician side is even crazier. You just cannot believe how underserved both inspector and technician markets are out there. We have many, like we do a little formula, and I'm not going to steal my own thunder, so I won't say all of it, but in business class, I tell, if you're just taking a couple of appointments today, averaging about $250, which is a small little appointment, those technicians, their service fees are ranging anywhere from, let's say, $75 to $150. And that's just travel and a convenience fee for being mobile and coming directly to the campground or wherever these people need their work done, so they don't have to drop their rig off at an RV dealership, etc. Their labor rates, I would say anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour. And everybody's different based on where they're doing business, because California is going to be different from Texas, is going to be different from Florida. So everybody has to kind of see what's going on in their area. We've done the math, like 2 appointments a day at that rate. I told you maybe a couple hundred per appointment is still grossing you over $100,000 a year. So there are tons of technicians that are making six figures and then some. Are they busting a hump? Sure. There are inspectors that do inspections every day of the week. The most I would do in a week is probably 2, just because they're really intense, and the reporting that goes along with it is pretty intense, but it's good money. The beauty is you can turn it on and off whenever you want. The people that get their trucks wrapped, can never turn it off. So the minute they pull into a campground, knock, people are tracking them down. I don't have any signage on my car. And in fact, I don't have a truck. I do my entire inspection business out of my Subaru Crosstrek. So my collapsible ladder, my telescoping ladder can fit in there with all of my tools. But I don't have signage on mine. I do other forms of marketing, but it's just so needed. And in the beginning, and I think Dana will attest to this too, not many people knew what inspections were. And so we were really educating the industry, and we had to do a lot of marketing to get our names out there and get familiar with dealerships and service shops and whatnot in your area. Now the customer is very savvy. They are on the forums, they're on social media, they understand, and the recommendations to have an inspection done is rampant. So people are much more familiar.
The last 2 inspections I did, I've been offered a job at the dealership.
Nice.
They just see the need, and they recognize the training, And they just, for it's all the questions, where did you go? How did you do this? Especially the technicians that happen to see us, they'll come and ask questions. And where did you get your training? Where can I do this? And then my 2 or 3 inspections ago, I was offered a service position. We really need somebody that knows what they're doing, and you obviously do, and we're hiring. And I said, you can't afford me.
Good for you.
I love it.
This episode is made possible by Travelfy. Want reliable internet without the hassle? Meet Travelfy. It's portable, high-speed Wi-Fi that's ready to go wherever you are. From road trips to remote cabins. No tricky setup or permanent location required. Just plug in and you're connected. And here's the best part. No contracts, no commitments, and no reactivation fees. Pay only for the months you need. Travelfy connects to the strongest available signal among multiple major networks, so you stay online with confidence, backed by a US-based support team that knows the outdoor lifestyle. Travelfy, simplifying internet while you travel. Visit travelfy.com today. That's TRAVLFI.com. Listeners can save 15% with code RVE at checkout.
Yeah. So real quick, back to the school, and then we'll move on. Once you finish that training, how soon can you go out there and start your business or start working, making money on this? Is it ASAP or you need some time?
I'll tell my experience just because I've interviewed tons of techs and inspectors when they leave there so that I can share success stories. There are students that will start advertising on their social media while they're at school, and they have appointments lined up before they get home.
Okay, good to know.
So it is not a big, and like we tell you how quickly, the biggest thing that I want students to have before they start is their insurance. Get your insurance lined up. And then other than that, you're a sole proprietor. You can hang your shingle out tomorrow. And it is done frequently.
Awesome. Brenda, that was going to be my first question. What type of overhead? And I imagine that there is just insurance and marketing, yes?
And tools.
Dana, you want to talk about the tech side? Like what?
Overhead, well, there's the tools and everything that you have to have. And there's always, if you're a gadget guy, oh my gosh, there's always new gadgets coming out. The tools would be a large expense for the tech side. Supplies and components, replacement parts and components are a large expense. If you choose to do that, you can always attend appointments, let them know what's needed, and then order as you go. But really, a quality technician's going to have the basics with them. Insurance for your business, website, marketing materials. It can be as little or it can be as much as you want. The tools are pretty much required to take the courses, so you'll purchase those to attend the classes. But then, of course, during the course of the classes, you learn of additional things that will make your life easier, and you tend to have a really long list when you leave. So.
I mean, a couple of $1,000 on tools, like while you're there, and then what you want to start with is not out of the ordinary. However, for example, like our friend Sue, she specializes in tank cleaning. She didn't use any of the tools that she ended up being trained with in school and went and got specialty equipment after. On the inspector side, it's probably about the same amount. We have diagnostic tools because we're not repairing anything, fixing anything. We don't take things apart. Your ladder, like for example, your ladder could be $350, $400. Your vehicle on insurance right now, I'm paying $1,200 a year for $1 million general liability policy. And, you're offsetting your travel charges within your rates, or you're charging some type of service fee. It's pretty reasonable as far as your fixed and variable costs. What on the inspector side, or if you have some type of niche where you know exactly what's coming, you just don't know when you're a repair technician. It could be an air conditioner here, a water heater there. It could be just a little fuse. It's kind of all over the map.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, I'm ready to enroll.
We'd love to have you there.
We are ready to enroll.
We're ready. We have 2 boys, though. We homeschool and all that. A little logistics of staying in Texas. We're from Delaware. That whole thing. I don't know. Guess we could make it work out.
We can make anything work.
Yeah.
How are you, or once someone comes out, or both of you, how are you marketing this? Because you mentioned Facebook, you mentioned your website. What is the most successful form that you've used to market yourselves?
For me, I would say my website. I'm not a big tech savvy type of person, so I don't really do much more than Facebook posts occasionally, and I'm really not even great about that. But my website, I feel like if you have a great website, that's where people go to. That's the go-to. They hear your name, they want to look you up. So they'll Google you, your website comes up, and if you have a great website that really explains who you are and educates your future client, that's really been my best source for marketing. In fact, I mean, I've had 5 emails this week alone on inspections and tech work, and I don't market other than what I have through NRVTA. They have a pin locator that we use for tech and inspection services. So whatever that pin locator provides as far as connections, other than that, it's going to be my website. Brenda does a little bit. She's much better at advertising. Brenda, tell what you do.
Well, I'm registered as a Google business. And so if somebody puts in RV inspections near where I am in Oklahoma, my business name tends to pop up there. And it's helpful if you have reviews, things like that. The locator feature that Dana was talking about, when you graduate, we do have a locator feature that people, when they do a Google search, that locator will typically pop up. People do that. I will tell you on the technician side, and I'm not lying, truck wrap, an A-frame sandwich board sign, or magnets on their truck, the minute they pull in, they're just getting peppered if they're in an RV park. Some people on the inspection side go and make really good relationships with all the dealerships and campgrounds in the area. They will go and introduce themselves and offer services to the managers or the camp hosts there in exchange for referring.
That's true. You become a recommendation from the dealerships that you work for.
To get, sure.
So that's something that we go through in the business class too. There's just so many fun ideas. We have private Facebook groups for our graduates, certified members, and it is just every day you're getting peppered with ideas and solutions and answers to questions. It's like continuing ed 24/7.
And Brenda, your website is Queen Bee RV, right?
Correct. QueenBeeRV.com.
Dana, you are Empowered RV.
It's empowerrvservices.com. Yeah. My business is just Empower RV, but for website purposes, it's Empower RV Services.
Yeah, totally get that. Yep, for sure. All right, so let's get into this. We're getting on time here. Let's get into your collaboration. You met close to that time you were going to that school, the NRVTA. And then you decided to get together and collaborate, and you wanted to empower women. So talk about the 52U. How did it start? What is it?
Okay, so 52U is our joint venture. It is a women's educational program where we actually have hands-on opportunities with women over a 1, 2, 3. Really, we've never been asked to do a 4-day, but I think Brenda and I would love to do something longer than 3 days. Our most popular is 3 days, but it's an opportunity where women come with their campers. They come with their school notebooks and pens, and we have classroom opportunity during the day. We have hands-on opportunity during the day where we just get together and talk about all things RV. It's literally everything RV related, from maintenance to easy tech work to what to ask a dealer or a technician when you have to have work done, when you need tires changed. How do you know what to ask? How do you check that they're putting on what you've asked for? We talk about safety. It's an all-in combination, and it is an opportunity for women to be taught by women in an environment where they're not feeling any type of social experiences where they feel like they need to be more than they are, and they're not. Or it's just an opportunity just to be completely vulnerable. And Brenda and I talk so much about our own vulnerability and experiences that it just turns into just an amazing 1, 2, 3 day opportunity to just chit chat and share. Brenda, talk a little bit more about it.
we started getting invitations from some of these women's camping clubs to come and teach these. And we quickly, Dana has a background in education and I was a coach for many years. So we absolutely adore sitting down and collaborating on this curriculum and how we can plus it, like all the things. We're taking some of the things that we've learned at NRVTA and our own experiences along the way and making it, first of all, we have to squeeze it into those little 1, 2, and 3 day workshops. So we're giving a amuse-bouche, a little taste of it while we're there. The biggest thing is we want women to be able to, as women learning from women, we've been in your shoes. We started from scratch. If we can do it, you can do it. They feel confident asking us questions, comfortable. They get to go out and practice. We give them hands-on homework, and then we walk around the RV park and help everyone, and they get to ask questions and whatnot. The feedback has been incredible. People there, and again, we have people there that are brand new and they're on their shakedown trip coming to our workshop. They have never done this before. And then we have veterans, we have rookies, everybody in between, and everybody leaves with something. They really, really love it.
Our biggest clientele, when people say, well, who attends your workshops? We have everything from single women. We've had a couple of 20-somethings that are looking to purchase their first RVs. They want to know all the things before they actually go buy, because they don't want to buy the wrong thing. They want to have all the knowledge while they're searching. And I look at them and think they're headed to that van life. They're in their early 20s, mid 20s. We've had as old as 80. How old? About 85? Was she 85? 80 or 80? I wouldn't put her that old. Maybe 80. And she was a widow, and she just wanted to continue the lifestyle that she and her husband had led for so long, and just didn't have the confidence. We have widows, we have divorcees, we have partners, we have singles, we have married couples, we have a little bit of everything, and they're all either coming from a place of having done it for years and just they had the pink and blue jobs and they were always in charge of the pink job and they want to learn the blue jobs. And so we turn those blue jobs into purple and make it something that is easy for them to understand. And they leave just feeling like, this is amazing. I can go and continue. And they know that their spouse would have wanted them to. We have the ones who have left a marriage or a partnership and don't want to give up the lifestyle and want to meet new people, and just, again, have always had one particular job that they did and didn't know how to tow or didn't know how to back up or didn't know how to hook up the black and gray tanks or even how to operate those. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. And Brenda and I are on cloud 9 at the end of every class that we teach, because we just know we have set these women up for success and set them up for empowerment and the ability to go talk the talk, no matter who they're talking to, so that they're not ever taken advantage of. And again, my whole desire was to never feel vulnerable. And so we've just provided that opportunity for these women, just whatever they are, whatever stage in life they are in, to never be vulnerable in their position ever again.
That is absolutely wonderful. It sounds like such a fun, warm, inviting environment, and they can be educated in the best way possible. So
yes,
I love what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
The purple RV. I absolutely love it.
Oh yeah,
you had me on that one.
So what's the best way for listeners to kind of learn about these workshops? How can they get there? How can they find where they will be?
So we have a website, 52 University, like the number 52university.com, and they can look to see our upcoming locations and dates. They can also look at our YouTube channel. On there, we have a series called 52 Ways to Empower Women RVers, which was really the catalyst. That's what started this whole thing. Dana and I we did one video per week per year. And when we set out to do it, we didn't put thought to the fact that we live in different states, and we did it. And we made a whole year's worth of videos. So you can look at our YouTube channel. We have other content out there. And then we have a forward facing Facebook page called 52 Ways and Counting. But get on our website, and we also would love to invite people, if you would like us to come to your rally, your camping weekend, whatever it is, and want to talk to us. We have all different packages available for how many days of workshops that we could bring to your area. So just go through 52university.com.
Will do. And I'll make sure I put all those links and your links, your each separate businesses in the description. Is there anything else? Is there any advice that you would give to women RVers or to women in general that maybe want to go the route that you guys did and did the school and started your own business for this RV space? Any advice for them?
For me, I would say don't wait. I started the program when I still had kids at home, and that set me up. Now I'm an empty nester and I have a career again. I have something that totally just fills my heart and soul with what I love to do. It makes me feel, when you're raising children, I was a public school teacher, and then I stayed home for a period of time to raise my children. I'll never regret that ever. That was the best job I've ever had in my life. But, my kids grew up and moved away. So I started to feel like, where's my purpose? And so this came along at a great time in my life with my youngest. And I think he was a sophomore when I first started, freshman, sophomore year. And it came along in a time where I thought, I'm going to do this for me. And I took time to do it. I didn't do the traditional stay at the camp, stay at the school for 9 weeks. And then I looked into other certifications I could get during the time as well. And I made sure just to prioritize myself a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, my kids were still my priority and my husband was still my priority at home. But I knew that time frame was coming to an end and I needed to have something for me. So I would encourage, my advice as a mom who stayed at home. And I know Brenda's had a career her entire life, and so we can speak to different areas. But I would just say don't wait. If it's something that interests you, start looking into it, because it does take a little time to get it started. And then it gives you the luxury of time to be able to spread it out if you need to. So
Agreed. Yeah. I say this all the time. I never pictured myself in this career. The Mr. Queen Bee is the one that thought of it when we came across that women's camping group. Even when I saw them, it did not occur to me that I could be a part of them. It was his idea for me to join that, which is kind of unlike me. Usually I just get out there. We've grown up in a generation where women can do anything. And I feel so fortunate that I did not visualize myself there. And I'm telling you, girls, if this cheerleader turned realtor, turned inspector can do it, you can do it.
That's awesome advice. Thank you guys so much. Where will you all be next? Maybe what's coming up for you guys? Where will you be?
So go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, actually next we're back in Athens. We both work in Athens in some capacity at the National RV Training Academy. And Brenda just left last week, I believe, after fulfilling her role. I return in a week and a half to fulfill my role. So we are currently working on, we just discovered what our schedules are going to be, literally probably in the last 14 days would be my guess. Is we've kind of been up in the air. So we've had lots of requests and lots of inquiries, mostly in the women's groups that we've been doing most of our teaching and training. So we have some dates that are on the calendar but have not been published yet. But we've been waiting to get our schedules with NRVTA because we work for them in our off time, and then we plan our events around what we have scheduled with them.
Agreed. And so again, anybody can get a hold of us through that website. For me, I am, both Dana and I are down there helping with the technician and the inspector programs in different roles. And I teach that business workshop on the off times. I am Queen Bee, and whether it's doing an inspection, really this year, it's more about teaching more workshops. I will say real quick, I have a women's RV symposium. Dana and I will both be there. It is going to be a fun, sparkly, women's focused event with an all-star lineup of female vendors and service providers and teachers and presenters. It'll be later this fall. So stay tuned for more details. It's going to be spectacular.
Oh, can't wait. What do you
Beautiful.
think, babe? This is awesome, right? Empowering these women to get out there and
And we're not afraid to
Bring
work
the
with men
knowledge.
either. I know that we've
That's
said
right.
a lot about
Yeah.
women, but
Right, true.
I've done some talks, and Brenda's actually done some rallies and stuff where she's had men in the audience, and we are absolutely 100% co-ed educators as well. It's just we just happen to fall into the women niche. So
Yeah. And it's
Men
just
can
well
learn
needed.
too.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Necessary though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on today. This has been fun. I really enjoyed it and learned a bit about some things. So thank you. And we wish you all the best.
well, thank you very
thanks for
much.
having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We loved it.
We appreciate it.
For sure.
We hope Brenda and Dana's journey into RV tech and inspections has inspired you to explore new opportunities, whether it's learning a new skill, starting your own business, or empowering others through education. Their story is a reminder that with the right training, support, and mindset, you can turn your passion into a thriving nomadic business. If you're feeling inspired to dive deeper into RV tech, the NRVTA, or would like to learn more about 52U and the workshops Brenda and Dana offer, be sure to check out the links in these show notes. As always, thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a review and share it with others who could benefit from hearing these valuable insights. We'll see you next time on the RV Entrepreneur Podcast.
Ever wished you could learn more about RVing from the experts? With RV Life Masterclass, you can. Gain access to a wealth of knowledge through online courses and a resource library filled with insightful guides. Whether you're a novice RVer or a seasoned traveler, there's always something new to learn. Start expanding your RV knowledge today by visiting rvlife.com.